It was not some ramshackle mining camp. By the late 1970s, this was a fully functioning community with schools, a hospital, a hockey arena, a bowling alley, a movie theater, and a complete downtown core. Workers earned some of the highest wages in Canada. Multiple mining companies operated in the area. People raised families here. They built lives here. They called it the uranium capital of the world. And for a while, that actually meant something. Then 3 Mile Island happened in 1979.
Welcome back to another reaction video. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for clicking on this video. Today, we are reacting to 10 abandoned places in Canada. And if you care to know the person who is yapping, yep, my name is Onel. And the check red t-shirt is Tercy, the blue and white is Thelma, and the white and black is Tekla. So, today we're checking the 10 abandoned places in Canada. We don't know how they will look like. And why would somebody abandon a place in Canada? Yeah. Why would you do that, Canadians? But for now, let's see.
Somewhere in northern British Columbia, there is a town where it is still 1983. The houses have furniture, the pool has water, the streetlights work, but nobody has lived there in over 40 years. An Indian billionaire bought the whole town for $7 million.
What?
And he keeps it exactly as it was the day 1,200 people walked away. This is Kitsault, and it is not even the strangest abandoned place in Canada. Today we are exploring 10 abandoned places in Canada that I genuinely bet you do not know about. We are not talking about your standard mining ghost towns or crumbling prairie homesteads. We are talking about towns the earth literally swallowed, communities the government paid people to abandon, places corporations demolished to hide evidence, and secret facilities where they trained assassins. Canada has a lot of ghosts, and most of them do not get talked about. Let's change that.
Okay.
Number 10 brings us to Port Radium in the Northwest Territories. And I need you to understand something before we go any further. The ore that killed over 200,000 people in Hiroshima and Nagasaki was carried on the backs of den workers in the Canadian Arctic. They were never told it was dangerous.
What? They were carried from Canada.
The ore that killed over 200,000 people in Hiroshima and Nagasaki was carried on the backs of den workers in the Canadian Arctic. They were never told it was dangerous. Peak population here was around 300 during the 1940s. Current population is 0, and the site remains radioactively contaminated. Port Radium sits on the shores of Great Bear Lake, about 450 kilometers north of Yellowknife. You can only get there by plane, and honestly, you should not go at all. In 1930, prospector Gilbert Labine discovered pitchblende, that is uranium ore, and Canada's first uranium mine was born. Initially, they extracted radium for medical uses, but then came the Manhattan Project. The Dani people from the nearby community of Deline were hired as ore carriers. They transported burlap sacks of radioactive material on their backs, loaded and unloaded barges. Here is the part that will stay with you. They slept on those sacks during the 2,100-kilometer journey down what became known as the Highway of the Atom. They called it the rock that kills because they noticed unusual properties. Nobody explained radiation to them. They used the empty ore sacks to patch their canoes, insulate their tents, and even repair their clothing. Children played on ore piles. Decades later, Deline experienced catastrophic cancer rates. At one point, almost every family had lost someone. The community became...
That was crazy. How can people using people to export the uranium, which is very radioactive, and they're sleeping on the bags, using the bags to build their houses and things like that. Children playing around it. Some people are just really cruel in this world. And they were exporting it to the United States where they build the atomic bomb with it. Must have been very nasty for that population.
Became known as the Village of Widows. One resident said, "Our men carried the sacks of ore on their backs. They were not told it was dangerous. Now all those men are dead. Our village is full of widows and orphans." In 1998, a delegation of Dene elders traveled to Japan to apologize to Hiroshima and Nagasaki survivors. Think about that. The victims apologizing to other victims for a bomb they never understood. The Canadian government did not acknowledge the health impacts until the 2000s. Over $80 million has been spent on partial cleanup. 1.7 million tons of radioactive waste remain. The mine closed for good in 1982, but the poison does not care about closure dates. Number 9 takes us to Uranium City, Saskatchewan. And yes, that
Uranium City, Saskatchewan. So everything is now uranium. Okay. We see you are starting off.
Does it mean that was the city first of all Uranium City, or is it because of what happened that it's named?
I think this
Uranium
one is a
City?
different one, right? The other one we're talking about
Yeah,
was
I
in
know.
Britain.
I understand that it's a different one, but on a normal, what will actually push people to name a city Uranium City before living there? Is it that maybe the accident occurred and afterward they now name the city as Uranium City?
I think that's a great question. But I would expect that it's because of the uranium that they named the city Uranium City or contamination.
does not care about closure dates. Number 9 takes us to Uranium City, Saskatchewan.
Okay.
And yes, that was actually its name. Peak population was 5,000 in 1979. Current population is somewhere between 70 and 100, mostly seasonal. This place sits 800 kilometers north of Saskatoon, near Lake Athabasca, and you need either a small plane or winter ice roads to reach it. There is no regular road access. The Cold War built this town, and the end of the Cold War killed it. Here's the thing about Uranium City. It was not some ramshackle mining camp. By the late 1970s, this was a fully functioning community with schools, a hospital, a hockey arena, a bowling alley, a movie theater, and a complete downtown core. Workers earned some of the highest wages in Canada. Multiple mining companies operated in the area. People raised families here. They built lives here. They called it the uranium capital of the world. And for a while, that actually meant something. Then 3 Mile Island happened in 1979. Global uranium prices collapsed. Nuclear enthusiasm died. In June 1982, El Dorado Nuclear closed its operations. What happened next is almost hard to believe. Within months, 90% of the population left. As one former resident described it, one day you had 5,000 neighbors. 6 months later, you had 20. People just packed their cars and drove away. They did not take everything. That is what makes Uranium City different from most ghost towns. The infrastructure is still there. Schools with desks still inside. The hospital is still standing, but is not operated in over 40 years. Street signs, traffic lights, fire hydrants, all the infrastructure of a functioning city, all abandoned. Houses were left fully furnished. People took what they could carry and walked away from the rest. The high school closed with textbooks still in desks. Visiting Uranium City is post-apocalyptic tourism. You are walking through a fully built town that just stopped.
At this point, I have a question. At this point, if you visit these places or if you decide to go back and live there, will you be affected by?
By the uranium.
Yeah.
But I feel like it is this one in this case is not due to contamination, it's due to economic collapse. Like the demand for uranium dropped, so the people who were living there and mining uranium, there was no longer
What
demand
it
for
means.
demand for the uranium. So you will not be living in a town where you have lost your job and you will not be living there. I think the people live there because they were miners and they're living there with their families. So the prices dropped and they moved. That's what I'm understanding. I'm picking from what they're putting there.
The arena bleachers are rotting. The buildings are severely deteriorated, but the bones of the community remain. Some residents refuse to leave. Even now, a handful of people live there despite the lack of services, maintaining whatever they can, existing in what used to be a city. The radioactive waste from mining operations remains in the area. The cleanup is ongoing and incomplete. What strikes you about Uranium City is how quickly it all ended. How a community of 5,000 people can simply evaporate when the single industry that sustained them disappears. It is a warning wrapped in ruins. Resources run out, markets change, And if your town exists for only one reason, you would better hope that reason lasts. If you've made it this far, consider liking the video and subscribing to our channel. It is completely free, and we are always improving to bring you even better videos about our country. Number 8 brings us to Cape Scott, British Columbia. And this one is genuinely tragic in a different way. This was not corporate abandonment or resource depletion. This was a dream that drowned in rain. Peak population was around 200 in 1910. Current population is 0. The site is now...
How weird can that be? It can be so weird, I'm telling you. Let me arrange this guy. Okay, great. When we started this video, top population was 4. Current population, 3. Let me see. Okay.
This was a dream that drowned in rain. Peak population was around 200 in 1910. Current population is 0. The site is now Cape Scott Provincial Park, but reaching the actual settlement ruins requires a 24-kilometer hike through old-growth temperate rainforest. This is not a casual visit. In 1897, Danish colonizers led by a man named Rasmus Hansen arrived at the northern tip of Vancouver Island with a vision. They were going to build a utopia, a pure, self-sufficient community at the edge of the world where isolation would protect them from the corruptions of modern society. They genuinely believed this, and honestly, I cannot decide if that is inspiring or delusional. Probably both. By 1910, they had made remarkable progress. Approximately 200 Danish settlers had built homesteads, cleared land, established a school, and created a thriving fishing operation. They constructed a massive earthen dike to drain marshland, an engineering project you can still see today. Children walked kilometers through the rainforest to attend that school. These people worked incredibly hard.
People walk through forests in Canada to go to school. Wow. That's some peak Cameroonian stuff. Yeah. We used to walk like through distances. I wouldn't be able to measure, but at least 2 hours to get to school for 7 years. From one to opposite, the whole of high school. So you get up in the morning, you get up at 5 a.m. and you get ready by 5:30, and then you get to school by 7:30. So it happened like that every single day. So you finish from school at 3:15 and you get to the house by 5:30, 6 p.m. Then you have to do other things that you have to do in the house. And that will go on for the next 7 years before you get to the university. So it's interesting to see Canadians
Walking through the bush.
fought lions to get to school too.
But here is what nobody told them, or maybe what they refused to accept. Cape Scott receives over 5 meters of rain annually. That is over 200 inches. It is one of the wettest places in North America. Farming was nearly impossible, and the British Columbia government had promised them a road that would connect their settlement to the rest of Vancouver Island, a road that would let them get products to market and supplies in. That road never came. One settler wrote in their diary in 1913 that the government had promised them a road, and without it, they were islands unto themselves. And the settler feared the road would never come. They were right. World War I took the young men, and the isolation crushed morale. By the 1920s, most had abandoned their claims. The last residents left by 1956. Today, the temperate rainforest has consumed almost everything. Dense vegetation has swallowed the homesteads. But if you make the multi-day backpacking trip, you will find clearings that appear suddenly in the forest. Farm clearings, foundations, old fencing, rusted equipment. Reminders that people once carved a life from this wilderness. The dike still stands. The schoolhouse foundation is visible, and somewhere in those ruins is the death of a dream that was probably doomed from the start. The upside of Cape Scott today is that it is hauntingly beautiful. The downside is that it is hauntingly beautiful because everything those people built has been erased by the land they tried to tame.
The upside is that it is hauntingly beautiful. The downside is that it is hauntingly beautiful. That makes total sense, Canada. That makes sense. Whatever sense it makes the sense.
Okay.
Number 7 is Antioch, British Columbia,
Everywhere is
and this one genuinely surprises people. At its peak, in the 1920s, Antioch had 2,700 residents. That made it the third largest city in British Columbia. Third largest. Today, the population is 0, and the landscape looks like a moonscape. Antioch sits on the shores of Granby Bay, about 140 kilometers north of Prince Rupert. You can only reach it by boat or float plane. There are no roads. The Granby Mining Company discovered massive copper deposits here in the early 19-teens. It did what mining companies do. They built an entire town from scratch. By the 1920s, Antioch had a hospital, hotels, a movie theater, company stores, recreation facilities, tennis courts, and a massive industrial complex centered on the second largest copper smelter in the British Empire. The smelter ran 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Workers came from everywhere. Japanese and Chinese workers were housed in segregated areas because this was Canada in the 1920s. The town even had a ski hill and a heated swimming pool. Let that sink in. A heated swimming pool in a remote mining town accessible only by boat. Then the Great Depression happened. Copper prices collapsed. In 1935, Granby Mining closed Antioch completely. They gave workers 2 weeks to pack and leave. As one former resident recalled, when the whistle blew for the last time, the whole town was crying. We had 2 weeks.
If they give you 2 weeks to pack and leave, where are you going to live and go to when you
That
have a
means you have
family?
lost your job. I have to pack in 2 weeks and go. That is scary, isn't it? That makes sense why a town would just get suddenly abandoned.
To pack and leave. Everything we couldn't carry was left behind. The company salvaged anything of value and abandoned the rest. Forest fires swept through multiple times over the following decades. But here is the thing that makes Antioch uniquely disturbing. The smelter had already killed everything. The smoke from that copper smelter had poisoned the land for kilometers in every direction. Vegetation died. The landscape became a moonscape, and it is still visible today. The beach is covered in copper slag, black sand that is literally industrial waste. The water turns green from the contamination. So what you get if you visit Antioch today is industrial apocalypse. Concrete foundations, smelter ruins, powerhouse remains, coke ovens, mine infrastructure. The scale of the ruins hints at what this place once was. The poisoned landscape shows what industry left behind. It has become popular with kayakers, which is a very specific type of tourism. Paddling through the ruins of a dead city, surrounded by land that was killed by the very industry that built it. There is a metaphor there if you want one. Number 6 is Camp X in Ontario, and this entry is different because almost nothing remains. The buildings were deliberately razed. The history was classified for decades. Some people believe James Bond was born here. Not literally, obviously, but maybe conceptually. Camp X sat on the shores of Lake Ontario between Whitby and Oshawa. Today, the site is a peaceful suburban park called Intrepid Park. There is a monument and a plaque. Families walk their dogs. Kids play on the grass. And somewhere beneath your feet are the foundations of a facility where they trained people to kill silently. In December 1941, British Security Coordination established Special Training School, number 103, Camp X, to train Allied spies and saboteurs during World War II. This was the first secret agent training facility in North America. They trained approximately 500 to 2,000 agents. The exact numbers are still classified. Training included sabotage, explosives, wireless telegraphy, covert operations, and techniques called silent killing developed.
If you're a military person, please let me know this. I have a question. Why would something happen in 1941 and it's still classified today? Like, what are they scared of? What would happen? Or is it something so dirty the government doesn't want the population to know about? Or
It could be.
even if the government doesn't want to know the population to know about, of course, it is not this government that did it. It's a different government and different people who likely would not be alive today.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not their fault. that happened. I always find it crazy that things that happened in the 1950s in some cases are still classified. But just tell me, I'm just acting like a bloody civilian. You military people, you know, your tactical advantages of classifying stuff and strategic advantages. So I don't know. Please let us know.
Developed by William Fairbairn. The facility also housed Hydra, the most powerful radio transmitter in North America, capable of reaching anywhere in the world. Coded messages between North America and Britain flowed through this quiet patch of Ontario farmland. Ian Fleming, creator of James Bond, allegedly visited Camp X during the war. Some historians claim elements of the Bond stories were inspired by what Fleming saw here. The training methods, the gadgets, the ruthlessness, all of it potentially began in suburban Ontario. The spy school closed in 1944 as D-Day shifted operations to Europe. Hydra continued operating until 1969. Then, everything was demolished. Deliberately. Completely. The existence of Camp X remained classified until the 1970s. One account suggests a trainee murdered a taxi driver during training exercises, and it was covered up. We will probably never know everything that happened here. And honestly, what makes Camp X uniquely eerie is not the ruins. There are none. It is the absence. You are standing in a peaceful park, and the only evidence that anything happened is a monument. The buildings are gone. The records are incomplete. The people who trained here dispersed across the world to do things that remain classified. Peaceful suburban parkland with no visible trace of its secret history. Somehow, that is creepier than ruins. At least ruins acknowledge something happened. Number 5 is Cassiar, British Columbia. And this one makes me angry. Because the company did not just abandon this town. They demolished it. Peak population was 1,500 in the 1980s. Current population, 0. And I mean 0.
Okay,
Almost
population dropped from 1,500
To zero.
0. Right.
nothing remains. Cassiar sits on the Stewart-Cassiar Highway about 150 kilometers south of the Yukon border. Unlike most ghost towns on this list, you can actually drive there, but there is nothing to see. In 1951, asbestos deposits were discovered in northern BC. The Cassiar Asbestos Corporation built a complete company town to house workers extracting chrysotile asbestos from an open pit mine. By the 1980s, Cassiar was a fully functioning community with a shopping center, recreation facilities, a school, a hospital, a curling rink, a ski hill, and comfortable homes. Workers earned good wages. Families raised children. The town had a reputation as tight-knit and friendly. Then global asbestos prices collapsed, and health concerns mounted. In 1992, Cassiar Mining Corporation closed the mine. They did not just lock the doors and leave, they systematically demolished the entire town. Houses were crushed, burned, or hauled away. The school came down. The hospital came down. The recreation center and the shopping center were leveled within months of closure. Workers had 3 to 4 weeks to pack and leave. Then they watched the company tear down their homes. It felt like the company wanted to pretend the people never existed. The company said it was to prevent vandalism. Critics pointed to another explanation. Asbestos lawsuits were becoming common in the 1990s. If you demolish the building,
This asbestos is extremely toxic and dangerous. It's said to cause a lot of cancers. And people literally go to a town and have like mining from there.
Mm-hmm.
And they're using it to build houses and different materials that people are using every day for their everyday uses.
With that, you see people be having cancer.
Why did they destroy the industry before this?
Because it became dangerous and people were suing the
Because of the
company.
things they were doing in the company,
Yeah.
the company become dangerous to the health of the people.
Mhm.
Because by law, you cannot be doing something that poses a negative effect to the community. If a company is to be open, it should not be negative. Like what it does there should not affect the health of,
The people.
yes.
Yeah,
Even though
especially
they will
this
be
one.
taken down.
Companies will hide some of those adverse effects on people, but this asbestos was so bad you cannot even hide the effects. Especially all companies, they will get away with polluting the land, but asbestos is so obvious that you cannot hide it.
buildings where workers lived and worked, you eliminate evidence. The hospital where medical records were kept was gone. The homes where families lived with asbestos exposure were gone. One resident put it bluntly: the hospital, the school, everything was gone, and they thought the company did not want anyone to be able to prove what happened there. Several former workers have since died of asbestos-related cancers. The tailings pond containing millions of tons of asbestos waste remains. As one environmental researcher noted, the tailings pond is a permanent problem. That asbestos is not going anywhere for thousands of years. They demolished the town, but they could not demolish the contamination. Today, the Stewart-Cassiar Highway passes through where 1,500 people once lived. You will see foundations, overgrown roads, and the massive open pit mine. But the town is gone, deliberately erased. The contamination stays forever. The people who might have had legal claims are dying, and the evidence was bulldozed. Number 4 isn't a single location. It's over 300 of them. The Newfoundland resettlement ghost towns represent one of the strangest episodes in Canadian history, a time when the government literally paid people to abandon their communities. The total population relocated was over 28,000 people.
The government literally paid people to abandon
their houses, move to different places. And he's saying that 28,000 people were paid to resettle.
And they paying them to leave.
That was the question. Why was the government paying people to leave their hometowns and go to other places? Is it a disaster? Is it some secret project or what? Let's see what happened.
The total population relocated was over 28,000 people from more than 300 communities. The current population in those communities is 0. For centuries, Newfoundlanders lived in small outport fishing communities scattered along thousands of kilometers of coastline. These were not failed settlements. They were thriving communities of 50 to 500 people, often accessible only by boat, with their own cultures, dialects, and ways of life tied to the cod fishery. Some had existed for hundreds of years. Then Newfoundland joined Canada in 1949, and everything changed. Provincial and federal governments decided that modernization required centralization. Remote communities were inefficient, and services were expensive to provide. The solution was the Household Resettlement Program, which started in 1954. The government offered money, $1,000 to $3,000 per household, for entire communities to relocate to designated growth centers. The catch was that communities had to vote, and if a majority agreed, everyone had to leave.
But that's why $3,000 per household to move is small, right?
Yeah, it's small.
It's
Like if it
extremely
was here in
small.
Cameroon, it would have been much, but
Would have been
in
much.
Canada is very small.
In Canada, that should just be around 1.2 million. In our currency today, that should be around 1.2 million.
Which is not bad.
Yeah, but I feel like back then, if you convert the currency from there till like add inflation from there till there, it should be around 30 to 50,000 Canadian dollars today. But it's still small compared to how expensive Canadian houses are. You hear houses of $300,000 and they give you $30,000 is almost asking you to do something for nothing.
Even if you voted against it, even if your family had lived there for generations. One resettlement survivor recalled that they were paid to leave their homes. They were told it was for their own good. 60 years later, I still dream about the house where I was born. Premier Joey Smallwood, the architect of resettlement, had a phrase, "Burn your boats. There's no turning back." And in some cases, that was literal. Communities in what became known as burnt-over districts had buildings burned to prevent people from returning. Some families literally floated their houses across the bay to new locations rather than leave them behind. These actions left scars on the landscape and on memory. Traditional fishing skills were lost within a generation. Dialects disappeared. Entire cultures were erased in the name of progress.
Have you ever heard that they flow up houses?
To float the house on the water. We never had that. To carry water on the water and carry it to the other side of the lake is just
I mean, carry a house.
the pure Canadian thing. You move and you carry your house. Very soon they will transport land and move with it.
Today, Over 300 abandoned communities dot the Newfoundland coastline. Some have visible ruins, homes, churches, and fishing stages. Others have been completely reclaimed by forest and sea. Cemeteries remain in many locations. The names of departed families still readable on weathered stones. Accessibility varies wildly. Some sites you can reach by ATV. Others require boats or serious hiking. Descendants hold annual come-home events at abandoned sites, gathering where their grandparents were paid to leave. The melancholy is profound. Clearings in the forest mark where entire communities once thrived. You can still hear the sound of the ocean where children once played. The government program ended in 1975, though the last resettlement, Great Harbor Deep, happened as recently as 2002. 300 communities, 28,000 people, all paid to abandon their homes. Number 3 is the Gagetown Ghost Villages in New Brunswick. Canada has mostly forgotten it happened. 5 villages, 800 people, 150 years of history. All erased so the military could have somewhere to practice. The land is now inside CFB Gagetown, the largest military training base in the Commonwealth. Petersville, Lawfield, Gasbro, and Millbrook were farming communities along the Norepus River Valley. Families had worked this land for over 150 years. Farms had been passed down from great-grandparents. Churches had baptized generations. Cemeteries held ancestors going back to the early 1800s. Then came the Cold War. In 1952, the Canadian military announced it needed 1,100 square kilometers for a new training base. The 5 communities were directly in the middle. The expropriation was swift and brutal. Some families were given weeks to leave farms their ancestors had worked for 150 years. Compensation was a joke. Some families received as little as $3,000 for entire farms. Cemeteries were excavated and bodies relocated, though not all were found. Churches were demolished. Houses were burned deliberately for military training. This was training for fighting in built-up areas, known by the acronym FIBUA. One survivor remembered he was 12 years old when they told him he had to leave. His father cried. He had never seen him cry before. They watched their barn burn down for target practice. Today, inside the restricted base, you can find foundation ruins, overgrown roads, and church foundations. Some structures still stand, used as enemy villages for training exercises. Tanks roll through what were once vegetable gardens. Descendants form the Gagetown Expropriation Association, fighting for recognition and acknowledgement. A representative said they erased 5 communities from the map. Hundreds of people lost everything: their homes, their churches, their ancestors' graves, occasional heritage.
I think that, or what I was expecting to be seen in this video was things that are caused by natural disasters. But I feel like most of these evacuations are human-induced evacuations.
It's not even like natural
They are
disaster.
not even a disaster. These people were forced to leave their communities against their will. That is not so awesome. Oh my God.
Tours are permitted for descendants, but access is restricted. Some areas are contaminated with unexploded ordnance. The villages exist now only in memory and in the foundations that remain beneath the military exercises. What makes this especially bitter is that the people are still alive. The 12-year-old who watched his barn burn is in his 80s now. He remembers. Canada has largely forgotten. Number 2 is Saint-Jean-Vianney, Quebec, and this one is different from everything else on this list. This town was not abandoned by choice. It was not evacuated by policy. The earth opened up and swallowed it in 30 seconds. 31 people died. Peak population was approximately 1,300 in 1971. Current population is 0. The town no longer exists because the ground it sat on is no longer.
So Canadians will say 1,300 at 1,300,
Yeah.
and then we'll call it 1,300.
Go right up to.
What we call like 1,300, I don't understand.
Yeah, they do understand. They go right up to maybe 8,000, 8,500, 8,600, and things like that.
Very good. Sometimes they say that you're not used to it. Like before, when I started getting when they say
1300.
1300, I do not understand the meaning of 1300, 1400. I was like, how? Where can we find 1400?
That's weird.
Solid. Saint Jean Vianney was a working-class suburb of Chicoutimi in the Saguenay region, about 10 kilometers from the city. It was built on clay banks above the Saguenay River, in an area known as the Clay Belt, where marine clay was deposited thousands of years ago when the region was covered by the Champlain Sea. The problem is something called quick clay. It looks solid. It feels solid, but when disturbed by heavy rain, by construction, or by vibration, it can transform from solid to liquid almost instantly. The Saguenay region has the highest concentration of quick clay in the world. Nobody adequately assessed the risk. On May 4th, 1971, at approximately 10:45 p.m., the clay beneath Saint Jean Vianney liquefied. In approximately 30 seconds, let that sink in. 30 seconds, 40 houses, cars, buses, and streets slid into a crater that opened in the earth. 31 people were pulled down into liquid clay. The slide moved so fast that some families never had time to react. As one survivor described it, "I heard a sound like thunder. I looked out the window and saw my neighbor's house sliding away. Then the ground opened beneath my own house. I don't know how I survived." A bus carrying several people slid into the crater and was never recovered. One man survived by clinging to his refrigerator as his house collapsed around him. Some bodies were never found. They remain beneath meters of clay to this day. A geologist at the subsequent inquiry put it simply: the clay beneath Saint Jean Vianney was a geological time bomb. When it liquefied, nothing on the surface had any chance. The surviving residents were evacuated. The town was never rebuilt. Today, a massive crater remains where 40 homes once stood, 18 hectares of scar. A memorial and interpretive center mark the tragedy. You can visit. You can stand at the edge of the slide zone and see the scale of what happened. 6.9 million cubic meters of earth were displaced. 31 lives ended. A community erased in half a minute. The wound in the earth remains.
This is unlike anything I've ever had in my life. Quick clay. I've heard of quicksand. Quick clay is wild. Because quicksand, if you work on quicksand, it can behave like a solid, it can behave like a liquid all at the same time. If you punch it so hard, it behave like a solid. If you just gently touch it, it behave like a liquid. Yeah. So if you work on it so slowly, you will sink. If you run, you will not sink.
Okay,
Yeah. So if you put your hand on it slowly, your hand can sink in there. But if you punch it, it will just go like a solid. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
So this one
My God.
is the same. I think clay is worse than sand, right? Because clay is sticky.
Number 1 is Kitsault, British Columbia. And I saved this for last because it's the most surreal abandoned place in Canada. Maybe in North America. Peak population 1,200 in 1981. Current population, 0 permanent residents, just caretakers. And here's the thing, the town is still there, exactly as it was in 1983.
I mean, this is in the town. I will literally move
You
in
said
there.
there are 6 caretakers there now. Who is paying them?
Why would I just go there and stay for
What are
free?
they thinking of?
Taking care of the houses.
Yeah, true.
I can just go stay there for free, bro.
Yeah.
Look at nice. It's way 10 million times nicer than this little house.
We can go.
We'll stop that. Guys, she's trying to piss me off.
Because time stopped here, and a billionaire keeps it that way. Kitsault sits on the coast of northern British Columbia, about 140 kilometers north of Prince Rupert. Boat or float plane access only. It is remote. In the late 1970s, molybdenum prices were sky high. Phelps Dodge Corporation discovered deposits near Alice Arm and decided to build a brand new town from scratch rather than renovate the old mining settlement. They spent $32 million constructing a model company town. 92 single-family homes, 200 apartment units, a shopping mall with a grocery store and bank, a curling rink, a hospital, a school, a swimming pool, tennis courts, a recreation center. By 1981, 1,200 people called Kitsault home. It was modern, comfortable, and purpose-built. Then molybdenum prices crashed. In January 1983, Phelps Dodge closed the mine with minimal notice. Residents had 90 days to leave. By April, the town was empty. But here is what makes Kitsault different from every other ghost town. The closure was so sudden that people left everything behind. Furniture, appliances, personal items, food and refrigerators. One former resident said, "We had 90 days. I packed what I could fit in my car and drove away. My couch is probably still in that house." And then something unexpected happened. An Indian-American businessman named Krishnan Suthantheran bought the entire town in 2004 for approximately $7 million. He has kept it maintained ever since. The power has never been turned off. Caretakers walk the empty streets. The swimming pool still holds water. The houses still have furniture, dishes, televisions from 1983. Calendars on walls still show 1983 dates. The hospital still has equipment in place. Some vehicles that were left behind still sit where they were parked 41 years ago. As one caretaker described it, "I walk through empty streets every day. The houses have furniture. The pool has water. Everything works. There's just no people. It's the strangest job I've ever had." Suthantheran has proposed various plans over the years. A retirement community, a resort, a liquefied natural gas terminal support town, a medical research facility. None have materialized. The town remains frozen in 1983, waiting for a purpose that may never come. You cannot visit easily. It is privately owned and access is restricted. But Kitsault exists, preserved, complete, empty. So there you have it. 10 abandoned places in Canada that tell stories we don't often tell.
That is wild. When you talk about molybdenum, I think I learned something that Canada also produces a lot of rare earth metals. Um, Rare earth metals are metals that they use to produce all these electronics, electric cars, molybdenum, cobalt, nickel, all those transition metals in a periodic table.
Yeah.
They are used for producing high tech magnets and all of those things that you need for producing high technology gadgets. And the country that has an absolute like stranglehold on that is China. But recently they found out that Canada can also have like a lot of them. Yeah. And the USA needs it a lot. One of those places where Donald Trump cannot say we don't need Canada.
Yeah.
Canada has a lot of minerals. That's something I've heard. And they have a lot
A
of
lot of them.
resources.
Wow.
So dear Canadians,
Thank
it's
you for watching.
it's just crazy to see these abandoned towns. You know what? But I think there's still more. We are going to be
More
finding
of
out
them.
down the road. We're going to be learning more down the road. What about we go learn about the most dangerous towns in Canada, yo? Let's find out. See you in the next video. Thank you.